Hello, grade 8 students. This is day 14 of STP Mathematics 3A lesson series. Today we need to move to a new subtopic, but before that we want to discuss the homework questions of day 13. So then you have 4 questions to do. Question number 17, 18, 22 and 23, right? So we will see how we can do this. First of all, you read the question instruction carefully. First, estimate a rough value for each of the following calculations. Can you remember that what we did here? Now, when we are doing it, so estimate a rough value by correcting each number to first significant figure. Before going for the calculation, what we are supposed to do, we convert the given figures in the question into the first significant figure that we correct it, right? Question number 17, for an example, what I do, without doing anything, I just list down what I have, 295. And this is the first significant figure. I look at this. So then this becomes approximately equal to 0.3. Then 0.732. So then this is the first significant figure. So then I write 0.7. Now it's easily, I can do 0.295 multiplied by 0.732. Approximately this is equal to 0.3 multiplied by 0.7. So this will be equal to 0.21. Okay. See whether you got the answers like this, right? So this is the rough estimate. So then you can keep the answer like this, right? And here, if you can remember that when you come across with 32, we converted it to 30, right? So then the first significant figure. So then here, then use your calculator to give the answer to correct to third significant figures. Here what they have, yes. Then use your calculator to give your answer correct to the three significant figure. Now here, this answer we can't correct to the third significant figure. Question itself, we do have two significant figures. Therefore, we can keep it as it is. Then we will move to question number 18. What I do, I list down the values I have. 1,250, I can write it as 1,000 when you correct it to, because this is the first significant figure. Then I have 532. So then again that becomes 500. So then I rewrite the question 1,250 multiplied by 532. This is approximately equal to 1,000 multiplied by 500. So then the answer is 500,000. Those are rough estimates, rough values, not the exact values, right? So then we will move to question number 19. There I have, so not 19, I want to do 22, sorry about it. 22, I have 0.0026. So this is equal to 0.003 because this is the first significant figure and you look at the next number, you want to add 1 to where you need to add 1 to the underlying number. So then the next one, we have 0.0378, right? So this is the first significant figure. When I look at the next one, that becomes 0.04. Then what I do, I write 0.003 divide by 0.04. You know that when we have something like this, we want to remove the denominator decimals. So then it gives me 0.3 over 4, right? So then we know we want to do that. Without thinking about the decimals, we just divide 3 by 4. When you divide 3 by 4, we know it is 0.75. But here that we have an additional decimal place also. So then I write my answer 0.075. Now this one, I don't have a way to correct to third significant figure. So by itself, we do have only two significant figures. Therefore, you just keep it as it is. Then we will move to the question number 23. There are 16.97. I can write as 20. And then I have 3.702. So it is 4. So then I have the question 16.97 divided by 3.702. No? So then I can write this as 20 divided by 4. So approximately this is equal to 5. Okay. So then you just write it. Whatever the values they have given, first you list down and correct them to the first significant figure. Then you rewrite the question and write the estimated values. So that is how you want to get the answers for the homework sum. See whether you have got the answers like this. If not, please correct them. Okay, so then now you want to get your theory books. Today it's a new subtopic. Put the date, write down the subtopic, range of values for a corrected number. Range of values for a corrected number. So that will be your next subtopic. Take the black color pen and write down this subtopic and we'll see how we can do these kind of sums, right? Okay, so now you just see here they are talking about, suppose that we are given a nail that are told that its length is 25 millimeters, correct to the nearest millimeter. Children, so this is very simple. If they have mentioned, so this is that the nail length, right? They are telling the nail length is approximately that is 25 millimeters, right? To correct to the nearest millimeter, let's say, when they have given something like this. The millimeter in the sense that is the unit place here. No? So what I do, I write 25 here and here separately I divide 1 by, because to the nearest millimeter, the millimeter is in the unit place, the ones place. I divide this by 2 and it gives me 0.5 and I get it like this, plus 5 and minus 5. To this side I write minus 5 and to this side I write plus 5. Then this become 24 point plus 0.5, sorry. So 0.5 and here 0.5. This become 24.5 and this become 25.5. So these are the ranges. Now I'm going to explain you. So what happened? If you have 24.4 children, right? Let's say the actual nail length is 24.4. When you correct it to the nearest millimeter, you want to underline this value, no? That is the nearest, that is the millimeter value or the unit value. And you look at the next number, you don't want to do anything. Approximately, I can write this as 25. But if you look at this one, when you correct to the nearest millimeter, you underline the unit place and you look at the next number. When you look at the next number, it is 5. We know if it is 5 or more than 5, we need to add 1 to where? To the underlying number. So then this becomes 25. Now, can you see the real length when you correct to the nearest millimeter? If the answer becomes 25, the first lowest value we can have is 24.5. Why? If it is 24.4, you don't get the answer here. I have done a mistake. This should be 24. If it is 24.4, then when you correct it to the nearest millimeter, you get the answer 24, not 25. But if it is 24.5, when you correct it to the nearest millimeter, you get the answer 25. That means you have that the 24.5 is the first number you come across, that where you get the 25 to the nearest millimeter. On the other hand, let's say if you have 25.6. Now, if you have 25.6 that you underline the millimeter value and look at the next number, so this becomes 26. And when you look at this one, again it is 26, right? So that means 25.4 will be the upper ceiling where you can see 25 after correcting to the correcting to the nearest millimeter. So then what will be the value? Therefore, that this should be, it is in between, it can be 24.5 or more than that, the nail length, right? The nail length, either it can be 24.5 or more than that, or it should be less than 25.5. It is not equal to 25.5 because if it is equal to 25.5, that becomes 26. To have the nail length 25, it should be something less than 25.5. And on the other side, it should be 24.5 or more than 24.5. That is how you want to get the answer. I know sometimes that when you go through this at once, you don't get this. Don't worry. You take your theory book and copy down these whatever the things I have done, that we will do another example, then you will realize that what it is, right? That you can see that here we don't use the equal sign, right? So then these are the things you want to write down. You pause the video and write down. Okay. Then I will do another example. Then you will see this. Now, let's say your weight is something like this. Let's say your weight is 58 kilograms, 58 kilograms. Let's say 58 kilograms to the nearest kilogram, to the nearest kilogram. Now we want to get what is the exact value. This is not the exact weight. This is a rough estimate to the nearest kilogram. Now what I should do, if it is the nearest kilogram, that means they are talking about the units place, no children. So then the unit place I divide by 2, it gives me 0.5. And I have that the two things that here minus 0.5 and here plus 0.5. So this becomes 57.5 and this becomes 58.5. So by now you know the weight is either it can be equal or more than 57.5 or it should be less than 58.5. So I'll take an example. If you have 57.4, when you correct it, it gives me 57. If you have the 58.5 or more than that, this is equal to 59, not 58. Therefore, to get the answer 58 to the nearest kilogram, the weight either it should be 57.5 or more than that, or it should be less than 58.5. Now, if they ask that what can be the weight of this particular child, it can be 57.5 or it can be 57.6 or it can be 57.7, right? Or it can be 57.8, right? Then the 57.9 and it can be 57.9 and 58.0, 58.1, and it can be 58.2, right? Then 58.3, 58.4. That's it. So that particular child's weight can be either 57.5 or more than something like this, or it should be less than 58.5. It is not equal to 58.5. If it is equal to 58.5, that becomes 59. No? Therefore, the weight should be less than 58.5, but it should be equal or more than 57.5. Hope it is clear. So don't worry that if you can't understand, you just go through this one more time, then it will be easier for you. And then they have shown how we are going to mark these decimals, something like this on the number line. Now here children, they have marked on the number line itself, but I suggest you to mark it like this. So then you have like this is 0 and let's say this is 1. In between that we have the here 1, 0.5. So this is 0.5, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say something like this. So then you want to mark 0.1. No? So this is 0.1. I can't use the colored dot because here we don't have the equal sign. and 0.8 is here, 0.8 and 0.1, and you mark this here, the circle, and I color it. Why? Because I have this symbol. Whatever the value here I'm talking, it should be in between this. It can be anything in this range, right? It can be 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. It can be anything. So then how you are going to illustrate this range on a number line? You first draw the number line like this. You want to have the expanded version here, that if you just draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no point of drawing that, because we are not considering the whole numbers here. Instead, we do have the decimals. So then you get that the enlarged version or the expanded version. So that is 0 to 1. In between 0 to 1, you have the decimal 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. Likewise, you have the expanded version. Out of that, we know what are the 2 points we want to mark here, 0.1 and 0.8. And I prefer to mark it on top of the number line without the shading it on the number line. And we know that we can't shade the circle if we have something like this. But if you have something like this, so then you want to shade the circle and show, right? So then I will show you another. Here they have given you the number line, then you want to mark it. For an example, I'll take this one, -2 to 6. Now -2 where? That -1, -2. I mark -2 here, right? -2 here, and I color it. That yes, I can shade it because it is equal. You just see that this is that I can do something. And 6 here, this is 6, and I mark this one also color, and I join it like this. So this is what you want to do here, right? If it is something like this, without having the equal sign, you can't color the circle. You just draw the circle, okay? So then we will move to the next one. You just see here you want to mark 0.03 to 0.13. So you find where you can find 0.03. Here this is 0.03. You mark it and you write here this is 0.03. And you draw the circle, but you can't color it because that here you don't have the equal sign. Then 0.13. Here that 15, 14, that this should be 0.13. There you can draw the circle and color it, and you mark this. So this is the range that you illustrate on the number line. Just top of the number line you draw this, it's clear. Otherwise, that when you're doing it on the number line itself, it's not clear for me. So my practice is always to draw on top of that. If you are doing it on the number line, that's totally fine. I can't say it is wrong, but for me, it is not neat and clear. So then this is how you want to mark it on the number line, right? Now you just see that they have given 3.15. Now, if you have 3.15, and correct to 2 decimal places, what I do, correct to 2 decimal places, I write 0.01. This is the 2 decimal places version. I divide this by 2. Earlier, can you remember, if it is to the nearest millimeter, if it is to the nearest kilogram, I took 1 because they are talking about the millimeter, kilogram, that the unit place they are talking about. Therefore, I divided that 1 by 2. Here they are telling this number is given when you correct it to the second decimal place. And that earlier they said correct to the nearest millimeter, correct to nearest kilogram. Now then I take 1, the unit place. But here they are talking about correct to the 2 decimal places. Then we write something like this. Instead of 1, now I write 0.01. That value you divide by 2 and it gives me 0.005. And I write the value they have given me and I divide it. This time I want to subtract 0.005. And here I want to add 0.005. Then my answer will be 3.140. Because 3.15 means 150. So from 3.150, when you deduct 0.005, it gives me not this one. I made a mistake. So that means 3.145, right? It gives me the 3.150. You deduct 0.005. It is 3.145. And here it becomes 3.155, right? Then how we are going to get that number? It can be equal to or greater than 3.145, or it can be less than 3.155. Now, can you see how they have marked it? Right? If they are talking about two decimal places, you write it like this. And first thing, that what value you want to add and subtract to the both side, right? If it is 0.005 that you want to add and subtract, you write it like this and you get the next value. So always the lower value will get the equal or more than, but the higher value, it should be just less than, it is not equal. Hope it is clear for everyone. By any chance, if you can't understand it, please comment in the video itself. So then I will bring the clarification next day. Okay, children, until then, stay safe. Bye.